Hi, Crystal Balls. I am just popping in before my video starts. I want to let you guys know that I am going to be covering the Josh Duggar case again if this is something that triggers you. And I don't know, honestly, who it won't trigger at some point because it's pretty bad. Um, I am going to be doing more content this month, but since this is happening right now, I will be covering it now. So trigger warning, please take that seriously. If you guys cannot watch this video, I completely understand. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you on the next video. All right, bye. Hi, Crystal Balls. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please think about sticking around, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. For everybody else, thank you so much for being on this journey here with me. I truly appreciate every single one of you, and a special amount of love to my Patreons, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. Um, I'm doing the Josh Duggar trial again, so I want you guys to really take the trigger warnings seriously. This has exhausted me. I can't even watch all of this stuff about it because it's a lot. And that's saying a lot coming from me. Um, Before I even get into the discussion, again, trigger warning, don't go any further, guys. If you can't do this, it's okay. It is okay. I will see you on the next video, so it's totally fine. Um, I want to remind people to be very kind in the comments. These are real people. And the thing is, I don't care about Josh Duggar. I care about the victims, including his sisters, and all of the victims that were on the images that we don't know if they're dead or alive at this point. There are a lot of victims in this situation. That's who I care about. So I'm not a Josh Duggar fan. I haven't made that a secret or anything like that. However, I do want to remind people to stop, please, being so rude about the defense. Like, I mean the defense lawyers in general. And I've seen a lot of hate about it and many other channels, and I want to remind people that this is a job. So Josh Duggar is an American citizen, and he has the right to a speedy trial with due process, and he has a right to an attorney. So this is a basic right as an American citizen, that you have a trial by your jurors, your peers, and that you have the ability to have a lawyer if you so choose. If you can't afford one, one will be appointed for you. So this is kind of a big deal. And while this isn't necessarily the place where I think most defense attorneys want to be at, it is a job that they have to do. And yes, you can say they made the choice to do that. Somebody had to do it. Somebody. And Josh isn't going to do that himself. You do have the right to represent yourself, but he's not going to do that. He's got a lot of money, and his dad has a lot of money, and they have a lot of power. So, you know, it's a job that people have to do. And it's like a job that these agents have to do. I can tell you 100% that these agents who do the jobs that they do, they don't like it. They don't like what they have to see day in and day out, but they do it because it's needed. So I want a lot of appreciation for the agents who did their job, who have to face this sort of thing on a daily basis and are working hard to get it stopped. So a little bit about the trial today. Again, I couldn't watch too much of the recap because it got to me. And that's unusual, but it really got to me. Agent Faulkner, it's Agent Gerald Faulkner, took the stand today. He is one of the FBI agents in charge. He is actually part of Homeland Security. So, again, this is a huge deal. This trial is huge. It's a big, big deal. There's a lot of violations here, and it should be a very scary situation for Josh Duggar and his loved ones. There was a 51-minute video that was released that was done by Agent Faulkner and another agent while they were interviewing Josh Duggar. And yes, Josh Duggar did have his Miranda rights read to him, and he waived those rights. So a little bit about what started this. So I'm on Buzzfeed articles, and I hate reading articles to you guys, but this is kind of interesting. So Faulkner and another agent approached Duggar and asked them to come to the vehicle to discuss the search warrant. At this point, this is prior to anything really happening outside of the seizure of said items on the search warrant. He was not told at this time if this had to do with CS materials. Once in the vehicle, Faulkner said Duggar asked them, quote, "So what, guys, someone downloading child P?" Agents then read Duggar his Miranda rights and asked for consent to record their conversation. So 3 excerpts of the 51-minute call conversation was played in court, and Duggar sounded calm. He expressed understanding, respect, and gratitude at multiple points to the agent for their work in the law enforcement. So, in one clip, Duggar confirmed Ozark Go was his internet provider, and the iPhone, Mac, and HP desktop were the 3 devices on the car lot, in addition to 2 surveillance cameras and a thumb drive. He said these devices had passwords, but that his wife and children frequently use his devices. Way to throw your family under the bus. In another, the agents asked Duggar if he's familiar with peer-to-peer networks. Duggar said that he had used these networks on all 3 of his devices. Guys, that's illegal. It's illegal. In another clip, the agents finally told Duggar that they worked to protect children from exploitation, to which he thanked the officers. He then asked, "Is that, quote, sorry, is that what you say is going on here?" The officers replied, "It's a piece of the puzzle that we might save children." Did something happen? Sorry, Josh Duggar, quote, "Did something happen on my devices? Did it mark this IP address?" Duggar asked, adding, has he seen no red flags that would alert him of something like CS exploitation materials being downloaded at his business. In the third clip, the agents told Duggar that he had information pointing out that someone on the property had been downloading illegal content. Quote, "We don't want to speculate," one told Duggar, adding they want to figure out how the car lot became linked to all the illegal downloads on the peer-to-peer program. Quote, this is very important, Josh Duggar, "Appreciate what you guys do." Duggar replied, "I don't want to say that I'm guilty or not of assessing inappropriate content at some point in my life." So, we also were allowed the past discretions that he made. I mean, that's the nicest way that I can put it, that he did to his sisters and to the anonymous babysitter. So that has all been put up. But also, there is a quote that Josh Duggar said that I'm not denying my guilt. So that was something that was given by KNWA News. And this article that I just read to you was from Buzzfeed. So today was all about Homeland Security talking about the trial itself, not the trial, the search and seizure itself, and went into details about what exactly was in the zip file. Also, they went over what a partition is. Basically, if you guys don't know, a partition is when you split a hard drive in half. Now, there's literally no reason to do this outside of, hiding something. Now, having a partition is not illegal, it just is questionable. And this is basically splitting your hard drive into two, which means you have two separate computers. On one computer, this is where Josh did all of his business. This is where he had uh, access to whatever he did during his day, which is even questionable about this car lot situation. Apparently, that this is something I'm just finding out, that this car lot did not seem very legit. And many people said that they hardly saw any cars on this lot for sale. And I don't know about the actual sale records. This is just something that I heard very recently that I have not been able to dig into yet. But it seems like this was a ruse. This business was a ruse, most likely for money laundering, but it makes sense for what's going on. Um, so, again, having a partition is not illegal. Having a torque is, or they're calling them Tor, but they're torque browsers, TOURQUE, Torque browser, but most people are calling them TOR browsers. This is where you access the dark web, and there's no accident. There's absolutely 100% no accident. So Josh Duggar is now trying to claim that this thumb drive that they have collected is somehow a magic thumb drive that just appeared out of nowhere, and it had all the stuff on it. It didn't. The thumb drive actually didn't have anything of any sort of CP or anything that would be out of the ordinary. So that was quickly dismissed. Um, what else happened today? The family is trying to blame a young man named Caleb, and I'm sorry, I don't have a crap ton of information about him. Now, Caleb was somebody who worked at the car lot for a very short amount of time. He's one of the people that I made reference to in a previous video about Josh Duggar, that most likely he was going to try to blame this Caleb for this whole situation. Well, Caleb was not even in the state and didn't work there at all. Josh Duggar was by himself in these questionable days that they were able to actually mark his IP, which is amazing that he knew about marking an IP, because he's trying to claim ignorance. And honestly, what's really funny is Michelle Duggar's homeschooling is getting beat to the ground, which it needs to. But they're basically saying that all of their kids are so stupid, they barely know how to get dressed, and they don't know the alphabet. Like, that's how stupid they're making them seem. And Michelle was a complete failure as a parent by homeschooling their children with what she provided them with. Now, there are many cases about Josh Duggar that have come out prior to this that show that he indeed is a computer expert. And yeah, so Michelle's schooling was shit, but it didn't stop Josh Duggar from becoming a tech nerd, basically. So, this kid, Caleb, that they tried to blame this on, saying that he somehow magically did this from Illinois. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. They were like, oh yeah, he totally tapped into his computer, your computer, and knew your passwords that were the same to your bank account and all of this other stuff, which is really interesting. I wonder if they've changed the bank account information yet because the passwords are out there now. They actually put the passwords out there and they were so easy. Like I could have figured it out. And that says a lot because I don't know. I've never really tried to hack into anybody's passwords before. Um so they're trying to blame this kid. And he has his own problems. Unfortunately, Caleb is part of the same cult that the Duggar family is, and they did an arranged marriage between himself and a minor girl, and this minor girl got pregnant. And he's in his own legal trouble, okay? But this case with Caleb and this case with Josh are completely separate things. Caleb is, you know, very remorseful for the situation. Um, it, I'm not saying what he did was right, but I'm also saying he was under the influence of his cult, and so was this child, and they thought this was what was supposed to happen, that they were supposed to get married and they were supposed to procreate. And I think she was 15 or 16 when this whole situation happened. So sad, sick situation there. I just want to reiterate that this is something that is very common in their cult, and there are many people who are of age that marry or court minors and they end up getting pregnant. I want you guys to understand that these people, the Duggars and their cult people, are very hypocritical, and they definitely don't practice what they preach, which always keeps me going back to how strict Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar were on their kids, and they kept saying that they didn't want their kids to make the same mistakes that as they did. What mistakes did you make, Jim, Bob, and Michelle, that were so horrific that you had to raise your children in this type of world, in this cult world? Um, Bravo, by the way, you obviously did a stellar job and you're not causing long-term damage to anyone. In fact, it was really cool that you let your kid's abuser be in the same house with them the entire time and forced to work with him. And now the fact that you're denying this whole thing ever happened, you're doing a really good job of supporting your daughters. Michelle Duggar, you're just as guilty of all this stuff. You knew this was all going on too. Just to point that out, her and Jim Bob are vile, disgusting people. And there are, again, the situation with Caleb sucks, but it's not the same capacity of what is happening with Josh. And because of the situation that happened with Caleb, he was monitored very closely, and it's not like it was internet stuff, but the thing is, he's monitored. They know where he is. It's not like he could have snuck out for a few hours to go drive away and go magically install something onto Josh Duggar's computer. That's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. Um, the other big thing happening right now is Joy Duggar, one of the victims, and her husband are in court, as well as Jill Duggar's husband. Um, the husbands are hearing the reality of this for the first time, and it seems like they are very taken aback. And um Jill is on the witness list. I don't think Joy is, but Jill is. She's one of the victims, and she's married to Derek, and Derek literally went to law school in order to protect his family from the Duggars. He knows they've been speaking out for years, and Jim Bob and Michelle have made them public enemy number one in their family. They have no access to the children, their siblings. They can't go see them. They can't go be in the big house. They can't, he has been basically bad mouthing them and re-victimizing his daughter for standing up and telling, no, this isn't right. I was one of the victims. I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. And the fact that Joy was in court today, no matter how you feel about these girls, and she had to sit there and listen to all of this horrific situation. It's not just hearing about her own abuse, but what happened with these children and what her brother did. And I don't know what that would do to a person, especially being a victim of that person. And don't make any light of that. She's a victim, just as Jill. I'm assuming the other two, because there's Jane Doe's 1 through 5. The four of the daughters, I think, are the four eldest daughters outside of one of them. Like, I think the eldest daughter had nothing to do with it. But the other four did. And again, they try to downplay the amount of time that it happened. It was supposedly only 1 or 2 times, and find out in court that it went on over years, which isn't shocking. And then there is a nameless woman, baby, not woman, I mean, she's a woman now, but a babysitter who was also a victim. We think the 5-year-old who was victimized was Joy. And I'm really sorry, girls, that your life has to come out this way. Your brother did this to you, and he's been abusing people for a very long time, including children, not just children. I don't know what he does to his own kids. I don't know what he has done to his younger siblings. I don't put anything past him, because the type of person that he is. I am so sorry that this has to happen, but I admire the fact that you're showing up. You're not supporting your brother. You're there to learn, and you're there to support the claims against him. And that takes a lot of strength. And I wish a world of protection around you girls while this is going on and in your future, and hope that you will get the help that you need and break away from this cult and learn that this is not okay. Your family put you in this position. This is not unusual. Most of the situations with abuse with children are because of the parents. The parents are the number one people who negotiate child situations. They could have stopped it. They didn't. They chose to look the other way. They chose to allow the abuser to stay in the house. They chose to back the abuser. That was their choice. And you made your choice. Now you're going to have to live with it. I also want to point out something, there isn't much more of the case that I can go through today, because it was, once I saw exactly what was on the zip drive, I had to peace out. Again, there's one thing on there that everybody thought was non-existent. It was so bad that we all thought it was a rumor. But Josh Duggar did say something about uploading and downloading. So this tells me that most likely he has participated in making said situations, um, and uploaded them peer-to-peer sharing. Um, Jim Bob Duggar is a very powerful man, and he's very rich, and there are people who are afraid of him. Not that they just dislike him, they're afraid of him. And this guy is going for Senate. He is slime. And I really think the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree here. I really believe that there is a reason that there is people who fear this man because of his ability to expose the vile side of people, but he has skeletons in his own closet. And I think someday we're going to find out what those are. I think we're going to find out a lot sooner than most of us think, because I've heard over and over again the big mistakes that he and Michelle Duggar made before they got married and before they really fully gave themselves over to this cult. And I don't think it had anything to do with holding hands or even sex. I think it had to do with something a lot worse. And he he didn't get this way to this point in his life by accident. And the fact that he's running for Senate is so swarmy and slimy and disgusting. And it's just, A, I don't care about my children at all. My son's cool, we're cool. Yeah, it's totally fine. But I'm not there for my daughters. I'm not there for my family. Um, I really do hope that an investigation happens on the remaining children in the Duggar household, because Michelle and Jim Bob allowed this to happen under their roof with basically consent because they didn't do anything about it. Um, I really would like to see a nice investigation, and I don't think it is out of the realm of possibilities that those children should be removed from the home. Now, I know it's a lot easier said than done, but this didn't just start overnight. Josh Duggar just didn't start this overnight. His dad's pretty good with computers, too. I really think that they're both vile and evil people. A lot of people are calling Josh Duggar a sociopath. I don't think he is. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. That would give you some sort of lack of moral compass, and I don't believe that. I don't believe he's insane. I don't believe that he has any really big syndrome, maybe a borderline personality situation. But I almost guarantee that Josh was a victim himself. You have this happen for a reason. He didn't just think this up by himself when he was a little kid. He was exposed to it somehow. I think he was a victim himself. Now, does it excuse anything at all? No. But it makes sense in the entire situation. Now, this is just all my speculation for entertainment purposes only, my opinions only. So, whatevs. But knowing what I do about this type of world, that wouldn't surprise me at all to find out that Josh Duggar himself was a victim. Again, doesn't make anything better, doesn't excuse anything. So originally this trial was supposed to last about 4 days. Now they're saying about 7. I still think it's going to last longer than that. I feel like they're going to object to every single thing that is placed. They're already kind of doing it. Um, it's just, it's a sad, sad situation. And I want people to remember every single day that the girls and the babysitter were not the only victims. All of these children and all of these images are victims too. Most likely they are no longer alive. And you can go out there and look at the descriptions of what happened. I'm not going to lead them to you, but they're out on major news stations, and I just, this is one of those times where I'm like, I can't believe that this is the world that we live in, but we do. Even though I've seen some bad stuff, that, I mean, that's pushing it. This is pretty bad. Um, and anybody's okay with that, let's just say that prison doesn't take too kindly to people who abuse children. And maybe the situation will correct itself. I do have a fear that he's going to walk free, but I think we all do. But him walking free, he'll never be free. And there might be someone who takes matters into their own hands. I think that's a promise. I'm not trying to, say anything one way or another. Entertainment purposes only. My opinion. But do not forget these children. All of these children who most likely are no longer alive, and the victims that we know of. We know that there were 5 victims of Josh Duggar. There probably is more. And I wouldn't be surprised to find out that that number is much greater than 5. All right, guys. This is a lot. I hope that you guys have a good day or night. Try to find some peace and love. Do something good for yourself. Remind people that you love them. Every day is a gift. Use your time wisely. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.